basically the standard steel. The downside is it would get a really sharp edge, but it would dull faster. Okay? We're in a very abrasive craft with the wood, the abrasions and stuff. So they started looking at different other steels, and we're going to talk about who started a lot of that. It was a fellow by the name of Glazer. But anyway, I just wanted to show you the different skews that I have. Now there is another skew out where they actually round this thing off in the back. I don't have one of those. I've never used one really. I've played with them, but I just never did it. One thing I do like to do though is I grind the four corners of my skew and I break that edge just a little bit so it isn't quite as sharp. I didn't do it on this one. This is one of my favorites, and I think it came from a planer blade, and it was just ground down with a tang and a handle, and it's a really nice sharp, and it holds an edge. So I'm not sure, like I said, what somebody had made it, and I got it at one of the shows and have enjoyed it ever since. So now, a little different one though. Now this one doesn't have a point a protection, so that's sharp. Please be careful. I can't get it off, and I just put it on this morning. Anyway, if you look at it, this is one of Doug Thompson's tools, and he sends it. It's a blank that he sharpens as a skew, and if you see it, it's a round skew. And it really helps out on details and stuff like that. I really like this tool. I made the handle. I might have done something different now. I played with it, but unfortunately I glued it in, so either I cut it out and destroy the handle or I rework it. So I'll figure that out at another time. Then I'm going to go into some other tools before I get into the gouges and scrapers and stuff. Parting tools. Everybody knows about the thin ones. If you would just kind of, just put them. The parting tools, everybody's familiar with the standard parting tools, correct? Okay, I don't have a straight one, a flat parting tool. This is beveled. Does everybody know why they're beveled like this? Why it's a diamond parting tool? Where's the thickest part of it? In the center. It should be, if you're sharpening it right, it should be in the center. That way, your tool won't bind as it goes in, supposedly. But wood, being wet and moving, it's a good possibility that it's going to bind. That's why they came up with that thin kerf one that I didn't bring today. But it's a good idea to make two cuts if you're cutting something off to get a good cut so you don't bind. But then we started playing around and we started grinding away the top. And I do like this one a lot. And it's only this way you only have to sharpen one side, and you don't have less chance of it binding. So we've experimented with that a little bit. If I'm taking too long, yell at me. Let's see where I go from here. Okay, scrapers. We'll get into some different scrapers, but everybody, the heavier the scraper, the thicker the scraper, the better it is. When we first started turning back in the 60s again, I remember, and this is hard to believe, but I remember something back then. We were using mostly scrapers. It was very little cutting. Then all of a sudden, and I remember and I can't really put it all together, but we had some tools that just came in. They were brand new. The teacher sharpened them, but it was basically like a scraper that somebody had inserted, I think, a piece of carbide. I can't prove it, but there were little tiny pieces of carbide in there, and we started playing with those a little bit. Don't remember a lot of those. And again, later on, they disappeared to return today, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But these scrapers are real good to finish things. If you got it inside of a bowl and you're having a real hard time, learn to sharpen a scraper, get a burr on there, learn how to cut it. Scraper, you want to make sure that your tool rest is a little bit higher and you're pointing down so it doesn't grab and jerk. But if you don't know how to cut with the scraper, it's really a nice thing. You get a nice burr on there and you're going to get a nice, smooth, easy finish. So it's a lot of fun.
That's a good one.
Pardon me?
That's a good one because it's thick.
It's thick. The thicker they are, the heavier they are, the massive. It takes away any kind of chatter. This is a craft supply made by Henry Taylor, and every turner has their signature. This is a Richard Raffin. Okay, so, and again, it's sharp, but different way. All right. I'm going to get into some gouges, and we'll do the gouges and look at those. This is one of my favorite gouges. It's a simple spindle gouge. It's about an inch and a quarter. Buck. It's a buck. Again, you may find these at a garage sale for $1 or $2. People have them. They're old. They don't think they're good. They're not, the high speed or whatever. It rusts up. You got to clean it up. This one needs to be sharpened. But this, again, it makes a great cut. It doesn't hold the edge on some of our abrasive woods as much. The difference between high-speed steel and carbon steel is that the carbon steel will hold an edge less long, but it sharpens to a sharper edge. So it's always a trade-off. But this is a neat tool. I love this one. And there are times when I just can't get a cut, and I'll pick this up, sharpen it up, and it cuts for me. And this is always in my travel bag usually. Now we started to go. I showed you some of the older tool steels. About the 70s and 80s. Where are my notes? I lost my notes there. I think it was like the 70s or 80s. I kind of had to do some reading to remember myself. Does anybody remember Long and Strong? Any term, Long and Strong? All of a sudden, about the 80s, they came up with Long and Strong tools. And they tended to have a longer shaft. They had a longer flute. They all came from England. I mean, all of the good tools were coming from England. After, they started to have the round shafts and stuff. Now, the English tools and the European tools, they measure differently than we do. The English tools, they measure the flute. That's the size of the tool. We measure the diameter of the tool. So that's when you want a 3/8 inch tool or a 1/4 inch tool or a 1/2 inch tool, make sure you know where it's coming from and how they measure it. Okay? But you can make a fine cut with any of them. Just a nice sharp edge, and you got it. But I've got a number of different, and they come in different sizes. Now this is a spindle gouge. This is one of my favorite spindle gouges. Again, it's a Buck Brothers. And I kind of did a modified ladyfinger cut on it, grind. Guys, there are no correct grinds. There's the grind that works for you. And if you like a particular grind, it works really great. And if you look at these tools, the flute goes all the way down the tool. So I'll be able to get a lot of work out of this, and I love this little tool for spindle work or detail work and stuff, or in the bottom of a bowl. If you can get one of these guys, and you do a lot of bowls, you get one of these and you grind a blunt finish on it, and all of a sudden that's your bottom bowl finisher, because now you can rub that bevel on the bottom part where it's difficult, and it makes it a lot easier. So that's a really good tool to have. But I love these. They're really good. Notice the handles. Feel the handles. See if you like them. One of the things that I've discovered is I like thicker handles. I get less chance of getting carpal tunnel. At least I feel like I'm getting it. I don't know if it's a real fact, but I feel like if I have something that's a little bit meatier, it's a concept that we're going to go to in a minute with the Glazer, some of the Glazer tools of dampening it and the vibrations.
Good for arthritis.
Pardon me?
Arthritis.
Arthritis. Well, that's carpal tunnel and arthritis and all of that stuff. And I know the thicker stuff. I know handles, like for doorknobs, losing a lever and stuff. So there's things that you can do. Okay, back in the 70s and into the 80s, Jerry Glazer worked with Bob Stocksdale. Does everybody know the name Bob Stocksdale? Okay, if you don't know that name, Bob was one of the Turners, like Sam Malouf was a furniture maker. Stocksdale was out in California, came out of, James Prestini, did some stuff in the 50s and the 40s that everybody looked at and said, oh wow, and Stocksdale was out of the war, World War II, started turning out in California, and he's in every major wood exhibit in the world. So look up the name Bob Stocksdale. By the way, one day we were having a meeting over at the old school, and this older gentleman walks in, and I look at him, I go, "You're Bob Stocksdale," and he goes, Yeah, how you doing? And he came to the guild, so I mean, he's been here. But anyway, Stocksdale saw some tools that Glazer had made. Jerry Glazer was an engineer and wood turner, and he started making some tools. And Stocksdale and him were buddies and friends. He said, "Hey, start making me some tools." So they designed some different tools. That led to Glazer and another fellow starting a partnership called Turnmaster. These are some of the Turnmaster tools. One is a scraper, and it even is labeled Turnmaster. This is the scraper, and this is the Stocksdale gouge. I want you to look at it. It's a little different. This is what Bob used to do all of his bowls. His big thing was he did exotic woods and he did bowl forms. All of his bowl forms were absolutely perfect. Simple, non-detailed, but really just gorgeous bowls. And he did them with a gouge like this. This is carved in here, Bob Stocksdale, and it's got the somewhere. No, this one doesn't have Turnmaster on it. But let's see. And if you see this handle, these are the handles they came with. So again, if you get a chance to see some of these at a garage sale, pick them up. You'll probably pay a little more than $1. All right. Glazer continued making those. Somewhere around the 80s, the partnership ended. And Glazer started making other tools. He started out with, and again, I'm not going to get into the metallurgy on it, but he started out with M2 high-speed steel. Now, high-speed steel, it can, first of all, when you sharpen it, it doesn't turn blue, and it doesn't lose its edge if it happens to turn blue. Whereas carbon steel, if you sharpen it, it gets too hot, and you turn it blue, the temper's gone, and you got to grind it down to where you see good steel again. Otherwise, it won't stay sharp at all. But he started making tools, and he also started making handles. This is where the handle started coming into, and it's big, it's heavy, and shake it, it's got lead shot in it. And the lead shot helps absorb the vibration and stuff. This happens to be a Stocksdale M4, what is it? I forget. M2 steel. That's a Glazer or a Bob Stocksdale grind and tool.
It's a long handle.
Pardon me?
The handle is very long on that.
For bowl tools, Yeah, it's nice because, okay, a lot of times, think of a handle as an addition to you. First of all, you don't want to do the wings. You want to pull in tight, you want to push in, and there's a lot of times I like to lean this up against my hip, and I just dance in here. And I love this tool. There's a lot of times I've got all the deep fluted and other ones that I'll pick up the Stocksdale grind sometimes, and I'm able to get a nice cut. This is the grind I put on it, and it's a nice even grind. By the way, I don't know how your memory is, but I forget sometimes what degree I'm grinding them at. So I've started marking them all, and that way when I want to set it up, I can just set up my grinder. It takes me 2 seconds, and it goes zip zip. Because between the thing like the wooden gauge that you have and stuff, all the different tools have different grinds, and I forget which one they are, and I don't want to screw them up. So anyway, this handle, by the way, if you happen to get one of these handles, we're going to talk about Doug Thompson in a little bit. If you tell Doug you got one of Glazer's handles, he said a good handle is a shame to waste, and he'll work with you on making sure that the new replacement steel that you get will fit into your handle. So don't throw away your handles. Okay. Then he went into 15V steel, high-speed steel. Different type, again, I'm not going to get into all of that because it confuses me, but the thing about this steel is it holds an edge even longer than the M2. So it's a little bit better, a little bit more. It was the next grade up. Look at the color of the handle. You see a red handle, you know it's M2. You see a black handle, you know it's the 15V. Okay?
Switch, if I'm mistaken.
Pardon me?
Unless you switch.
Unless you switch, yeah, unless you switch. And these are original. This is one of his deep fluted ones, and it's a V gouge, V shape. Forgetting which one I'm holding it down. Now, interesting part about this, he marked those. Remember Turnmaster? On any of these, he didn't put anything on them. No trademark, no name, no nothing. They're just Glazer tools, and they pop up on the internet, and people are trying to buy them all the time. This is not to be confused with, there was a company that ended up buying Hi-Tech. I don't know much about them. They came out for a while. I've never used them. I know they bought the rights to Glazer's tools. I don't even know if they're still in business, so I don't know really a lot about that. But don't be confused. They have a little different handle and stuff. These also come in all different sizes. We have the 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. I think this is a 5/8 inch. I don't think he ever made a big 3/4 inch.
Yeah, he did.
Did he? Okay. He did make my favorite tool in the whole world is Glazer's roughing gouge. I mean, I didn't want to bring it because it is heavy, but it's about that big. And unlike every other roughing gouge in the world, he doesn't come straight across. He has a ladyfinger grind to it, and you can just shave stuff off. And the great part about it is it's got mass to it. So any kind of vibrations, it takes away that mass, takes it away, and it's wonderful. I don't use it on bowls, but I use it on everything else. Now, if I need mass on a bowl, then I go to this guy. Now, I'm going to take this off. Please be careful.
Like an alligator.
Pardon me?
It's like an alligator. You gotta take it, it'll bite you.
Yeah.
Come on, Nick.
The duct tape, if you don't want the duct tape to come off, it won't stick.
You need to
But,
go to the gym some more, David.
What's you? The wood on
No, I duct taped it. I'm going to leave the tape on it. It's very sharp. At one of the AAW symposiums, they had this bad boy. It's a Sorby 3/4 inch on sale for like $40. And I just kind of went, that's mine. And I don't use it often. But boy, you can take a husk, you can just cut away on this. And if there's a cut that you need and it's vibrating and this and that, you need mass, this bad boy will do it every time. And it's easy to work as a little one. So don't let it worry you. And again, I like to lean against, so I take that thing. Now be careful, it is sharp. Okay, we're going to go into some other of the different gouges now that we're getting into those, and then we'll show you some other specialty tools. This is just a, I don't remember who made this. It's a 1/2 inch, Sorby. This is a nice Sorby. It's got a different grind to it. And it's a 5/8, I think, yeah. And this is a great little tool.
Wow, that's
This is a great little tool. It's a little brother to that one. You can see the handle's a little bit shorter, but David and the people who turn bowls, if you find one of these, if you can get one of these inexpensively, grind it down to a
this is the one,
like a very blunt end, like a 50 or something, and boy, it's a great bottom tool.
Bull nose.
Bull nose, exactly. Okay, in January, we're going to have Liam O'Neill over, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, Liam O'Neill invented the original Irish grind, and I apologize. I pulled this out, and I haven't used this in a while. I need to resharpen it. But this will give you the profile of the Irish grind. Liam ground this, and this is one of the Sorby tools that he does sell when he comes around. Now, by the way, the handle, it's guava wood. And this is one that I used to use all the time to demonstrate when I do bowl turning. And everybody go, well, I said, this is so I can get around on the curve. But I want you to look at something. Here and the bottom of the tool are a straight line.
Looks like it'll lock right into your hip real
And it locks into the hip, and it's a lot of fun to use. But I got to tell you, that bevel is almost, what do you say, about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. And if you're doing wet wood, you can throw 1.25 inches shaving over your shoulder. And that's what you watch. Again, these are professionals that are doing it for a living, that are making hundreds of bowls every day, and they're not wasting time. They just, and you see that shaving come off, they shape out the bowl, put it on the drying rack, and they're working it. But this is a lot of fun. This is a great tool with that fun handle. Okay, now we're going to start getting into some of the newer stuff. Of the new tools, I tell everybody, don't buy a set of tools. Buy one tool at a time as you need them. Buy the best tool that you can afford. There are a number of different people that are making them. Does anybody have any D-Wade tools? D-Wade. No, not it's D something.
Yeah, it's a D tool. Bead turning tool.
No, he also makes gouges and stuff like that. I've never used them. It's another company. I like Doug Thompson. Remember the keyword Doug Thompson, because we're going to go back to that in a minute. But Doug Thompson has a number of different tools. You saw the skew, the round skew. This is a detailed gouge that he has, and this is a 1/2 inch spindle gouge. I also have some bowl gouges of his, and I love them. I got to tell you, if I'm buying a new tool, I'm going to probably buy his tools and then use the old Glazer handles and stuff like that. All the guys are selling new modern, new handles. Johannes Michelson has a neat handle out. Glazer has a neat handle. You have a set of them, or you have one or two of them.
That was Thompson.
Thompson, Thompson. Thompson has, that's who I meant to say. Thompson has a,
And it's also the V.
pardon me?
It's also the V steel.
Yeah, but he's really nice. He's got some nice handles. On the other hand, it's nice to make your own handles, different woods. You got, this is a 3/8 inch, so I have 3 lines. This is a ½ inch, so I have 4 lines. I still can't figure out what tools they are, but
You know how big they are.
So that's Thompson Tools. Now there's Carter and Son. These are not mine. This is extremely sharp. Carter and Son is another company that just came out, and they're in a number of different things. They sell theirs with aluminum handles, and it's a really nice handle, very sharp tool. You're able to take the tool out. They also sell sets, and they've got all kinds of different ones. Like Thompson, they've got gouges, they've got skews, they've got spindle tools, they've got each turner has a specialty tool that they like, that they sell as well. These are starting to really come out. They're out of Seattle. Where's Doug Thompson out of? Does anybody? He's in Tennessee, I think. So good tool. This is a nice one.
Kind of a short handle.
Pardon me?
Kind of a short handle.
It's a
Then you-
spindle tool.
Yeah.
It's more of a spindle tool. They come like that sharpness. I don't like that. I kind of am working that out, but this isn't my tool. So when I first started sharpening with the one-way grinder thing, I really screwed up and pointed all my tools. And now I'm rapidly unpointing them and learning, I've learned how to use that tool a little better, a little safer. So it is what it is, but you can get some really nice cuts out of this. And the neat thing about this company is they tell you, be careful when you get them, they come sharp out of the box. Whereas the other ones not always come sharp out of the box. So, but they're expensive. The Thompson tools, I think, are a little more, well, I don't know, if you add the handles and stuff, they're different, prices, but I like all of them, but I like the Thompson tools, and he's really a very nice guy.
I like the steel.
Okay, how many do hollow turnings?
Every now and again.
Every now and again. Okay, we used to do all kinds of weird things with hollow turnings. We would make our own tools. You can see all the different ways we would make little hollowing tools that would cut, or ring tools. David has